Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jaya. Some of you also know me as Janice. I am the curator and producer of The Healing Mother. And thank you for being here with us for this virtual revillaging for mothers who are at various stages of becoming. I know you care deeply about your role as a mother and a daughter, a cycle breaker, because you've decided to take the time to receive some care and wisdom from experts, healers, and guides who truly understand what it takes to end burnout, stop the generational patterns that no longer serve you, and start living intentionally from resilience and joy. Today, we have Leon Kolaski and Colleen Carey with us. I'm so privileged and honored to introduce you to them. Leon Kolaski once lived a life that many might envy. He was thriving as a top tier marketing professional, surrounded by success, fulfilling relationships, and the respect of his colleagues. Then everything changed when he faced the profound personal tragedy of his father's suicide. It shook his world to its core, deeply affecting his mental and physical well being. Despite his continued professional success, he experienced a frightening internal collapse. He felt lost, grappling with grief and emotional turmoil that seemed impossible to overcome. In his search for healing, he stumbled upon something he had once dismissed: energy healing. Initially skeptic, desperation led him to explore energy mastery, which opened his eyes to a new realm of possibilities. The journey hasn't been easy, but through energy healing, Leon experienced a life-changing transformation. It allowed him not only to heal, but also to discover a passion for helping others. And today, Leon works in marketing for conscious health companies, but also dedicates his time to energy healing through one-on-one energy healing sessions, group healing events, and teaching others the modality to use these tools for their own self, their families, and business transformation. Leon's passion is guiding those who are ready to heal in ways they thought were unimaginable. Leon loves working with others who share his mission for healing and service, knowing that at the end of the day, everyone is on this journey together. And with Leon is Colleen Carey, who is the business manager and sole support for Leon at energyhealer.com. After 8 years of running her own business as a master coach and healer, Colleen pivoted to running energyhealer.com with Leon so that they could have a bigger impact working together. Colleen is the proud mother of 6-year-old son Anthony and enjoys the challenge of the intricate dance between mothering and creating an impact in a fulfilling career. And I know those of you watching can relate to various parts of the stories that Leon and Colleen have lived. So, first of all, I want to thank you for being here, Leon and Colleen. Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Each of you have these extraordinary experiences, both with their unique challenges. And Leon, your work as an energy healer, I find it so interesting that you entered into it with some skepticism, which I think is a healthy, and maybe some people watching also have a bit of skepticism about
Mhm.
energy healing. Could you tell us a little bit about that? How you went from skeptic to sort of being open?
Yeah. Initially, I was kind of drawn to the teacher and really this work, mostly to make more money as an entrepreneur. I was kind of fascinated with energetics and business. And so, kind of my story, you had talked about kind of the major thing that kind of happened in my life that got me into this world. But I want to note that I was actually already had taken and already trained in this modality. So I already, started using the work, but to be honest, it wasn't part of my regular daily life. And it was almost 6 months after that, incident had happened. So I was struggling, during that period of time in business, life, everything else was really in like the mucky muck, of all of that, the aftermath of that. And, I've always been really good at just following whatever my soul wants to do and get the human out of the way, so to speak. and I ended up back, retaking the training again. And I remember, as part of that, because this was over, many days, I remember like halfway through that, I was kind of had the epiphany to myself, like, oh, like I could start using this all the time to like really help myself out, so that I start to feel good again. And so that's kind of what started me on the path, and ever since then, that's, over 6 years ago. It's just been a part of really my daily practice. And quite honestly, in the very beginning, I don't know that I had the intention to help others. I've always helped others through kind of my marketing skill set. But it wasn't my intention that I was going to learn this to, become a healer. It was just afterwards, what happened was I had a client that was about ready to go in for a major back surgery. And I told her what I did and, offered to help. And so she ended up, engaging with me in that capacity. And I remember the next day, her daughter was in the car with her and they FaceTimed me. And she asked, like, what the F did you do to my mom? Because she had such a big, like, radical energy, like, transformation. She was out of pain and just some really cool things happened. Long story short, she didn't need to do that surgery right away as they had anticipated. And she was able to, kind of rehab herself and, get on her path, after having that experience. And so that created my initial fascination with this work. And then from there, it was just like over time, somebody, a family member, friend, I would help them and see something cool happen. And I got kind of addicted to just seeing what's possible.
Wow. That is extraordinary. I mean, you might have seen my expression like, what? That is wild. So, okay, so some people may know, myself included, like I know of energy healers and I've heard of Reiki, and there's different names for basically working with energy and
Sure.
healing. Can you talk a little bit about, like, is it similar to Reiki? Like, can you give us a little bit more details of like what's the language around your understanding of this, the modality?
Yeah, so I think just I'll even compare it maybe to the marketing, business that I'm in as well, is that the barrier to entry can be, kind of rather low to say that you're a marketer, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a world-class marketer that's going to be able to build, a multi-million dollar business for somebody. The same kind of goes, with this type of work. There's just different levels, of understanding, different levels of spiritual teachings that have, different impact, on, not only the practitioner, but, also the person doing it. And so kind of my thoughts around it is there are, lots of different modalities out there that are effective in helping people. And I think if you want to get to know the tree, look at the fruit of the tree, right? And so, if you're out there evaluating somebody and they're doing some modality maybe you haven't heard of, take a look at what they're doing and, see if it's helping others that might have something that you have. And I don't like to compare too much, but that's kind of like my view is that, everybody there's in any profession, there's just different levels of expertise
Okay.
and more involved teachings for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and so Colleen, you're a mom, and you know this tricky way that we have to juggle life as a professional and then a young child and all the needs of everyone else that you're trying to serve. Um, can you talk a little bit about your perspective? You have experience with this work that Leon does.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, I'm like, Leon knows about it too now that I've kind of dragged him into it because there's a lot of stuff that comes up and it's tough. But in terms of energy healing, this work and how I see it impacting me as a mom and even my son is just how like clean I feel to be able to connect with him. There's not a lot of friction or resistance when I'm doing this work on myself consistently and even when I work on him, because the way that this kind of works is, we all have an energetic container. It's the base of everything. And when we go out in the world, we're picking up energy from others and from the environment. And so I remember like when I came across this work, it was about a year before meeting Leon. It just made so much sense because we can do so much internal work and journaling and mindset and reflection and talking through things. But at at the same time, there's kind of a basic physical mechanical level to it as well, that we all know we feel different in different spaces. We all know we feel weird after meeting somebody. We all know if we connect with them and we like their energy. And so what this work is about is just the simple mechanics of cleaning up that poopy stuff we take on every day from other people. And let me tell you, when I really learned this, and then I was like, let me do an energy cleanse on my son. I was floored by how much poopy stuff I felt in my hands. And I'm like, oh my God, all those little kids and all of what they're dealing with, and all of the teachers, we know they're stressed. That's the literal stuff that's being taken on into someone's field. And when we don't know how to clean it up, that's what we feel over time, contributing to why we feel so heavy and like have anxiety, and we don't know really where it's coming from. And over time, like Leon can totally speak to this about the health ailments that can come because of not dealing with that root pollution. And so it's just like in terms of mothering, it's so cool and like I don't know, uplifting or like calming to know there's a tool set to be able to clean myself up after a long day and like be able to clean him up. It just feels like one of those beautiful, curated, clean, minimalist rooms that you would see like on Pinterest, but it's your house or it's your vibe. And that's what I love. And my son will ask for cleanses. He's like, Mom, can you cleanse me? And I'm like, yes, I can. Because he feels the difference.
I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, I'm hearing what's coming up for me as I listen to you. It's like it's hygiene. It's energetic
Yes.
soul hygiene. And yeah,
Yes.
and a lot of people may not think about that, about like the energy their child picks up from the places that they go to in their school. And so, like how
Yeah.
many energetic fields are floating around in one classroom. And then
Yeah.
this, yeah, and we talk, there's a lot of language often around the physical because we're so such a visually dominant culture, right? It's like what we can see, then that's sort of real. And that can sometimes be a barrier in the conversations around, I find, in helping or explain or help people understand the importance of um, how they feel either in a space, or I can go into a space and go, oh, it feels good in here. I don't know why, and it's not even anything I can pinpoint necessarily, but one street will feel better walking down than another street, right? For example. And so
That's
like
real.
there's, yeah, it's the energetic
Real.
field. And so what the other thing I'm hearing too is that there's an empowerment as a mom that you can do this. You're not like you learned it, you can receive it and you can learn to do it.
Yeah.
And that means you don't have to be reliant on like booking a session all the time to be able to use this for your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people who come to us curious about this work and wanting help, whether it's to learn it or to receive sessions with Leon, they will ask, like, how can I protect myself? I need protection. And personally, like as a mom or for my son, I think about how this work looks at that, which is we don't need to add layers of protection onto ourselves. And through doing so, basically hide or collapse within that constraint. But instead, you can protect yourself through cleaning up what others would throw at you, and then they don't have anything on you, like literally. And
Wow.
so, for example, it's like this stuff can get so practical to the point of, for example, I went thrifting and got a lot of cute clothes for my son. And when I brought them home and I really took time to like just feel them, I was like, oof, like this jacket seems to have a lot of like in my hands kind of scratchy energy and like a lot of stress, a lot of contraction. And I'm just like, oh, I bet this kid had a stressful, maybe little childhood. And if I didn't know how this works or have experienced it, I would allow that energy into my home. And over time, just like a little bit of mold in the corner, like that stuff can grow and that then can impact me. And it's so insidious. And so instead, of that scenario, I know I can cleanse that jacket like I would cleanse a person or I would cleanse my son and literally throw that energy away. It's almost like this beautiful, empowering form of clean protection where I don't let somebody into my space. And if I sense they're there, I know how to cut it off, which is what we're excited about sharing with everybody here today. One way of doing that. But it's like this beautiful, again, brighter, cleaner form of protection for my family through letting go and releasing and protecting. Nobody's got anything on these streets because it's like they can't access me. And if they tried, I can release that. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
That's so incredible. It's like a superpower. I just love it. I can see you just be like, no, you're not coming in my home. Clean.
Yeah,
No, I think that, and like,
it
what
up.
mom doesn't want that? Like, what parent
Yeah.
doesn't want that ability to protect the well-being of their children?
And it's crazy to
Well,
think about. I'm sorry, really,
well,
like,
and at the end of the day, all that we're doing is returning the energetic body or the soul, back to its original, like
Mm,
bright and shiny self before it got all gunked up,
okay.
right? And so it's actually just the way that you're supposed to be, or your original like blueprint.
Okay.
yeah.
So interesting. Colleen, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to share how it's really mind-boggling to think about the implications of all of this. It's such a simple thing. For example, the jacket. Like there might be a lot of stress energy on that, or say my son brings home some stress, cloudy energy from the day and from other kids. Like I think about that might just be that day or that jacket. It's really not because what's the base of energy? Everything, it's energy. And that like stress ball, that energy we took into the house, that could be over time what kind of attracts in more of that. And over time, what attracts the friends my son would hang out with. And what then attracts kind of the crowd he hangs out with, the choices he makes. That could lead to addiction as a teenager. That could lead to anything. And by just cleaning it up as we can now, that can lead to like a shift that's small now, but a huge different trajectory that touches everything else. And so it's really cool. It's a really cool thing to have. And I was just looking over one of the videos we have of a mom that Leon helped, named Su Ling, and it's just so impactful and amazing to see what can happen when the energy is cleaned up, because then we're only attracting in that bright, shiny self that we're meant to really, without that friction. And it helped her children and get out of, that's what she was sharing, was how it helped her daughter really rid herself of negative energies. And the people that were connecting to her with that just started to fall out of her life. So it's really cool. It's just, it seems so small, but it can impact so much.
Wow. That was one of the next things I was going to ask Leon to speak about. It was just what are some of the incredible things that results that you've seen in people's lives you've worked with, and the families you've worked with?
Honestly, just about anything that you can think of, really just about any disease, pain, ailment. At the end of the day, everything starts in the energetic body. Um, Sometimes it's been there for, even decades, a lot of times, when I'm working with people, they come to me because they may have a specific pain or ailment, or even disease that's manifested in the body. And, as part of our process, sometimes we unpack a little bit of that, and we'll see that something may have happened 10, 20 years ago that was never really dealt with, that ended up manifesting as something that not so desirable. And so at the end of the day, everything is energy, so anything can be resolved with working with the energy at its core. And so I've really seen just about anything. I don't like to talk about stuff in regards to myself too much. I like putting out videos and have other people tell the stories of cool things that have happened. But quite honestly, like I'm always, the word I always use is just like fascinated by what can be resolved with working with the energy. That's really, I think even prior to this call, you were asking like, what keeps me doing this work? And honestly, it's just the fascination to know of like what is possible.
Mm,
Um, like living in a space of magic and miracles and just seeing something that maybe not too many people get to experience, but I get to experience it, almost on a daily basis. I get to see something that's, I think, magical in my eyes, and that really keeps me like engaged in the work and keeps me doing the work.
beautiful. Yeah, like so, there's a lot of people who like focus on mindset. And so I get what I'm wondering is in order for it to be effective, like say I come to you, if I have some skepticism, if I'm like, okay, I'll try it, but like, do I have to have a certain kind of mindset for this to work?
Not really. You just have to be receptive to there being a change in your life. And so, a good example is say somebody has some sort of a pain in their body they've manifested, right? At the root, there may be a reason why that person, manifested that particular ailment. Maybe they weren't getting enough attention from a spouse. Maybe, who knows, right? Like, really anything. And so sometimes it's like, you're willing to give up what that is giving you, and make that exchange. And so it's really being receptive to the change. People don't need to believe in me, or they don't need to understand it, or believe in the work necessarily. They just have to be open to the possibility of things being different than they currently are.
Yeah. And so that's wonderful news because I know the people who are tuning into this are those who are like, I need to change something. And many people are, especially moms, are feeling this pull to make changes in so many areas of our lives. And it's starting to feel urgent. Like we cannot tolerate the way things have always been done any longer. And as we're coming towards the end of the year, I certainly feel that energy. And I'm so grateful that you can speak about this work in a way that is accessible. That I think that's what I'm really hearing from the two of you, that it's accessible. It's you don't have it can work for anybody. Um, and it's possible to learn it and then use it. Um, is there something that you want to say to our audience of moms who, you know, some of us are in burnout, we're overwhelmed. It can feel even hard to just like make an appointment, you know.
Yeah.
Um, Imagining someone in that state, is there something you'd like to say to them?
Yeah. So, to start with, I think we're gonna give people a URL that they can go to, for your viewers, where we'll give them a couple of free energetic hygiene tools that they can use to really shift the energy. Because at the end of the day, we are our energy, and our energy attracts, the people that are in our lives, the, opportunities that you may have at work. It affects your income. It affects how your, children, the people that they become, right? And so, I think right now, at least from my perspective, what I'm seeing is that moms are realizing that it's in the collective that they understand that if they don't deal with their traumas and they don't deal with their stuff, that their kids are going to have to deal with it. And so, I think that's great because, now there's more, energy and more information that is moving around faster than it ever has. And with that information, all that information is light. And as there's more light on the planet, there's going to be more information. And with that information, people can, really radically shift their energy and shift their life, with that. And doing it in ways that are maybe a little different, than, our parents did, years ago. And so I think that if somebody is in a situation where they're not really where they're at, and their energy is taking a toll, they feel overwhelmed, do start doing the things that help your energy feel better. It could be as simple as lighting some incense. It could be taking a salt bath, like doing those little things over time, those little shifts over a daily basis, and create whatever it is, that's going to be your energetic hygiene routine. One of the tools that we're going to share with your viewers is, cutting cords, right? Every time you interact with somebody, there's an invisible energetic cord that is created. And this will just end the conversation. So you don't have to be in that energy of that conversation or that person anymore. And so I would just encourage people to, people spend so much time on taking care of their skin or taking care of their hygiene. Let's spend a little more, time in recognizing that our energetic hygiene is actually the one that's going to move the needle more than all of the other ones combined.
Incredible. Yeah. Um, what came to mind is also the things that we put in our body, like food. And I know, some people get really um, obsessed about, dieting or cleansing and detoxing. And I think, that it's wonderful. Well, people have their own path to seeking health. Does this work on not like the things the things that you're relating with too? Like, would you use energy cleansing on
Well,
household? Hmm.
um, so you can cleanse the energy of anything, like Colleen had mentioned, a jacket, right? So that jacket had poopy energy. She's, trained on, what to do to, clean up that energy, of that. Um, you know, the thing that happened with me is as I kept doing more of this work, the things that I was attracted to putting in my body changed, more specifically like alcohol and really poopy food,
Yeah.
food that wasn't good for me. And so some people, they're eating crap or they want to change their diet, but if they don't take care of the underlying energy, they're only going to end up eventually getting an energetic match to the poopy energy that they have. Right. And so that's going to be, maybe it's smoking, maybe it's drinking, maybe it's, eating foods of poor quality. Those are just an energetic match to, the being. So if we go ahead and we shift, the energy, I notice it all the time. I don't even have to tell clients that we're working with that they need to shift their diet, but they'll report back to me after, working with me for a few weeks. Colleen could attest to it, where all of a sudden now they're making more higher conscious choices, right? As you get rid of the cloud, the poopy energy, now all of a sudden, not only are they connected to, higher conscious information I might be giving them, but now they're connected to their, guidance, right? Especially women, right? They tend to be more spiritual and a little more connected than men for sure. And when you get that stuff cleaned up, then it allows for things to radically shift. But I would say that because people aren't dealing with the energy, that's probably a bigger reason why diets fail, because all that they're doing is going back to the stuff that's an energetic match.
Okay. Right. That sounds sensible. Leon, thank you so much. And Colleen, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so exciting to hear about the possibilities, like of having the superpower in my home too. And so for all of you watching, I hope you've taken away some gems. Get rid of the poopy stuff and grab that link to get in touch with Leon. And I'm wishing everyone just a really peaceful and calmer time as we go into the rest of 2026. Thank you
Can
again.
I?
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. I just want to add one thing to clarify for everyone watching. It's like something I think really important that Leon's hitting on and to distinguish is that like all this poopy stuff, it's not even your fault. Like it's not usually even yours. Like you probably inherited it from your past people or your spouse or your kid's friend. Like it's just in the environment. And so I like to really hone in on that, because there's nothing broken or wrong with the person. It's literally just crap that was put on, right, through the day or through over time. And the beauty of looking at this angle is that there's a framework to help release that, which isn't yours anyway. And when you do so, you can come back to yourself and that intuition. But everybody can do this because we're already all experiencing energetics all of the time. It's just what this does is put a framework around it to really release that in a productive way. You can do it really fast with a practitioner like Leon, or learn the stuff yourself. But that's the beauty and the good news, I think, is that there's nothing wrong with anybody. It's just the stuff we've taken on from others or from experiences. But it is our choice at the end of the day to clean it up, and you can do it.
You can do it. Yes, Colleen, thank you for saying that, because that's really, moms have enough guilt. We don't need to take on being at fault for all the other energy of other things around us. And you know what? I think this speaks volumes, Colleen, that you can speak so highly of this work, working with Leon, because it's one thing to be in support of a company, but it's another thing to really be taking it on in your own lifestyle. And so also, Leon, I applaud you for being, you said women tend to be more connected intuitively. And so being in a male body, I really appreciate that you are giving a voice to the masculine. And that I also want to say, maybe, I don't know, maybe there are men in your lives, for the people watching, who don't know that they need this, and that it's often the women in men's lives that introduce them to a new way forward. So I'm very, very hopeful. I don't know if you could tell with my energy, but I'm super excited for people to get in touch with you. And again, thank you both for coming. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you at the next episode of The Healing Mother. Bye for now,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.